I want to tell the people of Kenya that finally you are free. Kenya is now at the...
Deputy Rigathi Gachagua, a name that just 2 years ago was synonymous with power and influence at the heart of Kenya's leadership. From a humble member of parliament for Mathira to the Deputy President of Kenya in just 5 years. A meteoric rise if ever there was one. But today we're not just talking about his rise, we're talking about his fall. A fall that has left many Kenyans asking, what really happened? Stay with me as we unpack the swift and headfirst fall of Rigathi Gachagua. A story filled with ambition, power plays, betrayal, and a man who flew too close to the sun. This is the rise and fall of Rigathi Gachagua. Let's start from the beginning. Born on February 28, 1965 in Ruguru village, Mathira, Nyeri County, Rigathi Gachagua's political journey was anything but ordinary. For most of his life, he stayed under the radar until 2017, when he ran for the Mathira parliamentary seat. Now, many politicians spend years trying to claw their way to the top, but not Gachagua. He served just one term as Mathira MP, and then bulldozed his way into Kenya's second highest office, Deputy President of Kenya, by becoming William Ruto's running mate in the 2022 elections.
I, Rigathi Gachagua.
But let's not forget, it wasn't supposed to be him. You see, Gachagua wasn't the first choice. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki was. But through political maneuvering, sheer determination, and some would say, an air of defiance, Gachagua found himself standing shoulder to shoulder with Ruto at the heart of the Kenya Kwanza campaign. They won, and with it, Gachagua's rise to power was complete. He was sworn in as Deputy President in September 2022 at Kasarani Stadium, and it seemed like nothing could stop him. Or so we thought. Now, here's where things get interesting. It wasn't long after the election that cracks started to show. Barely 2 years into office, whispers started. Whispers of betrayal, of a strained relationship between Gachagua and President Ruto. Whispers that Gachagua wasn't just playing second fiddle, he was trying to write his own tune. In early 2024, during a tour of his home region, Mount Kenya, Gachagua dropped a bombshell. He warned of a plot to remove him from power, a plot that he claimed was being fueled by none other than his boss. But what does this all mean? For Kenya, for the political landscape, and for the people of Mount Kenya who Gachagua claimed were behind him. First, let's talk about President William Ruto. It's no secret that Ruto's growing frustration with Gachagua was sparked, in part, by the accusations surrounding Gachagua's alleged role in sponsoring the Gen Z protests. Earlier this year, Gachagua was accused by some members within the government of financing these violent demonstrations that rattled the country. These protests, many believed, were fueled by factions seeking to destabilize the government, factions that allegedly included Gachagua himself. Whether these claims were entirely true or politically motivated, they caused a rift between the Deputy President and President Ruto. Now, what about Gachagua's legacy? Many thought he was positioning himself as the next kingpin of the Mount Kenya region, but that dream has crumbled. With his impeachment, Gachagua joins a long line of Kenyan vice presidents who met untimely political ends. From Joseph Murumbi, who resigned, to Musalia Mudavadi, who barely held the office for 3 months, it seems that this role is cursed. To fully grasp the weight of Gachagua's fall, we need to go back to where it all began, before the impeachment, before the strained relationship. President Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua were, at one point, political allies with a common enemy, Raila Odinga and the Azimio la Umoja coalition. But this wasn't just any political friendship, it was one built on mutual interest. Ruto needed a strong Mount Kenya figure, someone who could rally the region behind him, and Gachagua was ready to step up to the plate.
President wetu Uhuru Kenyatta, tafadhali, Rais, tunakuomba, kwa heshima. Umebaki siku 8 kuja hapa Sagana State Lodge na ukuja na makaton, uchukue vitu yako utoke uende.
They ran on the hustler narrative, uniting people around a promise to uplift the downtrodden. Gachagua, often seen as brash and unapologetic, was the perfect fit to rally the grassroots in central Kenya. They stood side by side during grueling campaigns, promising economic transformation, jobs and security for the people.
Unajua watu wengi hawataki ukweli, wanataka tuongee mambo ya uongo. Na mimi hiyo maneno ya uongo nimekataa.
Yet, just 2 years into the administration, the cracks began to show. Gachagua's tendency to speak his mind, unfiltered, started causing tension. His critics accused him of arrogance, while Ruto's inner circle worried about the Deputy President's growing influence in the Mount Kenya region. Now, let's talk about the role of kingpins in Kenyan politics, particularly in the vote-rich Mount Kenya region. Ever since the days of Jomo Kenyatta, the people of Mount Kenya have looked for a central figure to champion their interests. For decades, this role was played by the likes of Mwai Kibaki and later Uhuru Kenyatta. But with Uhuru's retirement from politics and his rocky relationship with the region, a vacuum emerged. Enter Rigathi Gachagua. Gachagua positioned himself as the heir apparent. He boldly proclaimed that his primary job as Deputy President was to guard the interests of the people of Mount Kenya and ensure they got their fair share of the spoils. But by doing so, he painted himself into a corner. His constant focus on regional politics may have alienated him from the broader national audience, and it wasn't long before people began to accuse him of neglecting national duties in favor of his local agenda. And herein lies the tragedy of Gachagua's political career. In trying to be the next kingpin, he may have overplayed his hand. So, what's next for Rigathi Gachagua? That's the big question. Impeached as Deputy President, isolated from the corridors of power, and with his political ambitions seemingly dashed, where does he go from here? Well, in Kenyan politics, very few people ever truly disappear. There's a chance Gachagua might reinvent himself as a political martyr, using his ouster to galvanize his base. He might even try to position himself as a leader of the opposition, capitalizing on any grievances within the Kenya Kwanza coalition. But there's also the possibility that this marks the end of Gachagua's political career. Without the backing of President Ruto or a solid political base, he could fade into obscurity, like so many before him. Only time will tell. But this isn't just about one man. The political implications of Gachagua's impeachment are far-reaching. For the first time in Kenya's history, a deputy president has been removed from office by way of impeachment. This sets a precedent, one that could redefine the power dynamics between the presidency and the deputy presidency in future administrations. Let's not forget that the position of deputy president has always been a tricky one in Kenyan politics. It's a role that often carries power, but no real authority. Time and again we've seen deputy presidents fall out with their bosses, from George Saitoti to William Ruto himself when he served as Uhuru Kenyatta's deputy. Now, Gachagua finds himself in that same unenviable position. And beyond Gachagua, what does this mean for the people of Mount Kenya? Will they rally behind another leader, perhaps Kithure Kindiki, or will they splinter, leaving the region politically divided ahead of the next election? It's a question worth pondering. The meteoric rise and headfirst fall of Rigathi Gachagua offers us some powerful lessons. In Kenyan politics, no position is guaranteed, and even the most powerful can fall in an instant. Gachagua's story reminds us that while ambition is necessary, unchecked ambition can be dangerous. Greek mythology gave us the tale of Icarus, the boy who flew too close to the sun. Rigathi Gachagua's fall may well be the modern-day version of that story. So, what do you think? Is this the end of Gachagua's political career, or does he have one more comeback left in him?